today was an important day for Bitcoin. A lot of people were watching the 50-day moving average for Bitcoin. Historical data, Bitcoin has to close above the 50-week moving average to say we're still in an optimistic or bull market trend. And anytime Bitcoin has fallen below this 50-day moving average, we have entered a bear market. Not just one time. Usually it takes a couple times to fall below or close below. Today's Sunday, and by 7 p.m., which is 2 hours away from today, Eastern Standard Time, Bitcoin is supposed to close just shy of 103K. Right now, it's over 104K. And Trump announced he's going to be giving out stimulus checks for the Americans, or at least he's very close to doing so. And I find this very, I don't want to say ironic, but I'm not surprised by this move. And I was actually having a conversation literally yesterday with my friend about this exact topic. He was talking about the 50-day moving average and how if we close below, it's going to end. And I was saying, well, if we know about this, who else knows about this? The whales. Trump's in the circle. Maybe Trump himself doesn't know, but the ones who are involved in his whole Roll Liberty Financial Group crypto or his Trump token, the ones who are in crypto a little bit more than he is, they're definitely well aware of not just the sentiment in crypto, but the 50-day moving average and how Bitcoin is the important crypto to be looking at in terms of strength or weakness for the market. And that if Bitcoin were to close, say, below 100K, it would look horrible to the altcoin market and overall crypto, and you probably would tumble down into a very bad bear market to start 2026. So I find it very ironic how on the most important day of this week, Trump comes out and essentially pumps Bitcoin. And as I'm speaking, Bitcoin's around 104K. I don't think this was random. I think he purposely waited until today to make this announcement because the government shutdown is still a looming negative catalyst. The longer it's ongoing, the worse it affects on the market. And I think Trump wanted to spark some interest and hope into the market. And so Americans hearing, oh, free money, just like back in 2020 when the COVID pandemic happens, even though it worsens and weakens the dollar, Americans like hearing the term free money. So it helps bring hope, and then it helps risk on assets go up, which if you remember, when we had the stimulus checks in 2020, that was the big crash for the markets because the whole pandemic was just highly chaotic and a black swan event, and it just caused the economy to collapse. But later on, the following year in 2021, we saw a huge upside in risk on assets. Now, the difference this time around for tariffs is we're not in a pandemic type environment. We're just in the stage where QT, quantitative tightening, is coming to a close. Interest rate cuts are happening, and the hope for crypto is really bad right now. But today sparked some life. So we're going to get into the metrics. I want to see. I'm just curious, though. Leave a comment down below. Why do you think today of all days Trump came out with this bullish news for crypto? And do you think we're going to hold above the 50-week moving average, or do you think we're going to eventually fall below it and enter a bear market? I will say there's a lot of debate back and forth. And one thing that is clear to me is no one knows for sure what's going to happen. There's people like me who believe monetary policy will dictate the next move in crypto. And there's people that believe the Fourier cycle, they're just clinging on to it, saying that the Fourier cycle is the only way to look at whether crypto goes up or down. And there's people saying that we're in like a catalyst-based environment, and it depends on what Trump says or does. And to be honest, I think all three play a big part in dictating the next move for crypto. I don't think it's just one or two things. I will say I don't think we're in a logical market. We're in a very highly emotional market. And clearly Bitcoin was in a downtrend, but as soon as this came out with Trump's news today, all of a sudden crypto pumped. Well, at least Bitcoin pumped. I'm not going to say crypto yet. But we did go above 3.5 trillion. And we're still in fear. We're definitely ways away from that. But you can see, as I was just saying, Bitcoin is now back above 104K. And you click the 24-hour chart, we were way below the 50-week moving average. Now, we didn't close below 100K yet, thankfully, but we came very close into entering those murky waters. And now, at least for the time being at the start of today's video, Bitcoin is holding above 104K, but more importantly, above the 50-week moving average. which means there's still hope in the market. We're not going to see the sentiment come back to crypto until Bitcoin really rips, and then we see Ethereum recover, and then we'll see liquidity come back to the altcoins. Right now, even if Bitcoin runs to like 110, 115K, I don't think altcoins will rally. I think it's not going to be until Bitcoin forms a new all-time high, which could very well happen before the end of this year is over and done with. But I don't think we have enough time for the altcoins to have an altcoin season. I know this is going to piss off many people. This is how the market works. Data changes all the time. And if you're not moving with the data, then you're becoming complacent and you're becoming just, what's the word? Closed-minded. Okay. I'd rather tell you the truth and get hate for it than lie to you just to give you hopium. I do not think the bull run is over. I just think if we do see a correction heading into 2021, which everyone's calling it the bear market, I don't think it's going to be as aggressive and steep to the downward price action that many people are making it out to be. I don't think we're going to see bear markets where we see 80% drops for Bitcoin and 95% drops for altcoins because the banks and ETFs are in. I really don't think we're going to see huge drops in crypto. I think we're just going to see minor, maybe mid corrections from here on out. And then we're going to see, the same's going to be set for the bull markets too. I don't think we're going to see 500x gains anymore. Probably going to see, 10x, 20x, 50x, maybe. Obviously every so often you get a micro cap at 100x's, but I think in both cases, up or down, we're not going to see huge surges because now we're having more big players in crypto. It's getting closer to stocks. I'm still not comparing it directly to stocks. Stocks is obviously different. They're security-backed companies, but with regulation, the Clarity Act, the banks, hedge funds, ETFs in, I wouldn't be surprised if the bear markets and bull markets are less aggressive, which means more predictable price action going forward and people staying in the market longer. This is just what I think is likely to happen in either case in the future. If we do see that happen, they're going to make it seem like Bitcoin's going to tumble down to 20K. The altcoins are going to go down 95%, and it's going to be like doom and gloom. I think if we do see a correction, it's going to be minor. It's going to be short-lived. Why? Because I think quantitative easing will come at some point next year, probably in the second quarter. Also, Jerome Powell will be stepping down in May. And I think Trump's going to put a more dovish chairman in place who will cut rates much faster. And with the rate cuts happening, we're going to transition to quantitative easing, which is a change in monetary policy. And this is where you're going to see the money printers come back on. You're going to see money liquidity get circulated on the market. You're going to see loans become readily available for people to use. And you're going to see the money shift to risk on assets. This is my projection. So a lot of people don't want to hear, well, I hear right now, people don't want to hear the 4-year cycle's dead. I just think there's too much importance on being so logical to the idea that everything has to happen in this 4-year window instead of acknowledging the monetary policy in relation to crypto and the altcoins and seeing what transpires from the Fed in doing so. Right now, we're seeing a pump in crypto today, not because of the 4-year cycle, but because of directly of what Trump has said and will likely do with the stimulus checks. It's a reactionary based market. Okay, a lot of people are going to disagree. I know they will, because until this point, everything was just speculation on past data. You have to take the new data and apply it to today's conditions. Eventually, they're going to turn the money printer back on. And then eventually, you're going to see liquidity come back to the altcoins. Retail has to come back for altcoins to reach altcoin season. Bitcoin has to go down in dominance again, where Ethereum is going to take up that dominance to see altcoins rally. But I will say, we are moving in the right direction. Whether you want to hear that or not, we are moving in the right direction. I will stress the importance of having patience today. Okay, a lot of people, again, they're looking for what is the answer? Can you tell me? And the truth is, you can watch 50 other YouTubers. They can give you their opinions. No one knows for sure. What I will say is, if you're a little confused right now what to do with this information, I would just cash up right now. Right now, I am done DCAing, I think, for the majority of the year, unless I see an opportunity. I did see a rumor that Coinbase may come out with their own coin. Who knows? It could be the end of this year, early next year. If that happens, we've seen tokens of exchanges all be in the top 100 for the most part. KuCoin, BitGet, Crypto.com, and BNB. So I think if Coinbase comes out with their own coin, it's in my eyes a guaranteed top 100 coin, which means an automatic buy. Aside from that coming out in that catalyst, I am just cashing up right now. If we go back to CoinMarketCap, Ethereum is going to be the one that we mainly have to watch, especially once Bitcoin does recover. This one has to break 4K again, and it has to get back up to 5K to see altcoins start to rally. We never went down to phase 3 because Bitcoin dominance went back up. We actually regressed back to phase 1 in the 4 phases because Bitcoin, right now, because the market is so uncertain on what direction is going to happen, Bitcoin is sucking liquidity from the altcoins. So it's sucking liquidity from the Ethereum, Solana, top 10, top 100, and also all the other microcaps and midcaps. So that is why Bitcoin dominance is climbing and altcoin dominance is going down, because the market is uncertain of what's going to happen. And so liquidity is being sucked out from the altcoins to maintain some support for Bitcoin until Bitcoin gives us its next move. I've been saying, though, I think Bitcoin, aside from today's pump, it was barely holding on by a thread. And I think a lot of investors felt the same. But again, today tells us one thing, in my opinion. The whales do not want us to think it's over. The whales, I think, still want more money to be made. And the way Trump came out today, of all days, it could have happened yesterday, it could have happened Friday. Today, on the day that Bitcoin was to close, on the weekly moving average, either above or below it, I think it's not a coincidence. Again, a lot of people are going to overlook this, but I think the whales are more aware of what we think and what's happening in the market than people actually give them credit for. So yeah, I just found that very interesting. I hope this video was informative to you in some way. If it was, please leave a like. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy your day.